My name is Peter, recovered alcoholic.
Peter.
Grateful to be alive and sober and part of a sacred place called Alcoholics Anonymous. Again, thank the group for having me here and Sheldon for doing the taping and whatever else is going on here.
No idea.
June 23rd, 1988 is when God separated me from alcohol. I'm grateful for this gift of sobriety. I do have a sponsor and I do have a home group in Boca Raton, and I'm currently sponsoring 10 men in this fellowship, and 9 of them know I'm their sponsor, so that's not bad.
Classic.
It's interesting. So my assignment tonight is supposed to be step 3, and we'll see where God takes us. And I was sitting earlier in quiet. When I do these things, I usually don't pray at the meeting. Sometimes I'm asked to participate in that, and I go. But my preparation for these things, even if it's a little meeting or it's a conference, I usually get quiet and get some prayer and meditation time. I don't like talking a lot. I have, but I'd rather just be quiet. I fast for 4 hours. I don't eat anything for 4 hours. And that's why I have a Coke in case the sugar drops. You know, I get that sometimes. But I observed that. It was taught to me many years ago by my sponsor, Mark, to be a hollow vessel. I don't know about you, but if I eat, after I'm done, I'm looking for the remote control on my couch, right? Not do this. And so it's important to stay an empty vessel. And I respect that and observe it. And I get quiet. And sometimes during the quiet time, I'm not thinking about, the talk or where I'm going to be speaking or what conference I'm at. I'm not in charge of any of that. Occasionally I do get a thought about something. And I was thinking in quiet about this third step, and I hope to cover some material in a book. There's some instructions on how to do this. But Marion always talks about how it's the spirit behind the words that really count. You can get an actor to read something, a script, and you fall asleep on it. And another one puts emotions behind it, and you're paying close attention to it. And it's been that way. My lineage has been that way, not to be married to mechanics, but to be joined with the Spirit. And a while ago, I don't know if it was before COVID, no, it was after COVID, actually. My business was suffering terribly, and we were on the verge of closing down. And we had an offer to move to Tampa and partner up with this place up in Tampa. Now, I've been to Tampa a few times. It's a cool town, but my home is Boca in South Florida. And we went up there, and I wasn't so sure. And we came back down here and trying to, regenerate our business, and it was going nowhere. The harder we tried, the worse it got. And we'd go back to Tampa. And it seemed, we were up there for a couple of days, and it felt like every hour on the hour, we were saying, no, we're going. We're saying, no, we're going. We're moving, no, we're going to. And it was just exhausting. The two of us were just depleted of all energy, and I couldn't hear anymore. I couldn't hear what they were talking about, any kind of offer they were putting on a table. And it was just so exhausting that we didn't know what to do anymore. And we're sitting in a hotel room, and we realized that we didn't really dedicate a lot of prayer time to this. We were running on what looked good, some numbers and maybe an opportunity, and we'll move to Tampa and trying to look at the bright side, but never looking at reality of it. And really in a moment of desperation, because we ran out of road, my wife and I decided to pray. And not just say the Lord's Prayer and, okay, now zap me, God. It was a prayer a desperate prayer with no attachments to anything. And we both realized that we're here to serve God and nothing other than that. And so wherever you want me, we'll go. What you need me to say, I'll say. What you need me to do, I'll do. Which is what I work with every single morning on Awakening. And when we met those folks, suddenly what they were talking about, we heard for the first time, and I didn't like it. And what we were seeing, I felt like I was seeing for the first time, and I didn't like it. And we made our decision based on the spirit moving us that we belong back home. And we came back to Boca. what ensued was me making probably the worst business deal of my life with some other company. It was awful. The worst one. I spoke to some business folks who said, you only have one bad business deal? You're good. Well, you have a whole bunch of them. We made a terrible move with this one company, but we were here. And when we left there, it gave birth to what I'm doing right now, which is my company. It just went through a rebirth, this metamorphosis, if you will, with a whole bunch of new folks and some old folks, and it's quite frankly flourishing. And so sometimes on this path, I've learned that when my will is in the way and I'm chasing what I think I need to chase, I can't see the road God has in front of me. I'm not even paying attention to it. And sometimes, I can't base my spiritual health based on what I'm comfortable with. I can't gauge it on what I'm comfortable with, because the spiritual walk, I have found out, when we enter the world of the spirit and we get to live there, it's pretty nice. But on the way there, it's going to really annoy me and challenge me. Anyone who's doing the fourth step, I've said this many times, and I'm not trying to ruffle feathers, who tells me doing the fourth step and it's absolutely butterflies and rainbows, you're not doing the fourth step. It's challenging, it's pushing, it's leaning, it's breaking down, it's tearing apart. And when we got back to Boca, we signed up with this other firm. It was a disaster from day one, and we hung in there as long as we can, and it fell apart. And we started this whole thing new. So it was challenging. It was financially exhausting, emotionally draining. And we weren't even sure. We were thinking about maybe we'll just take a job somewhere else and just go punch a clock 9 to 5 and that's it. But we were open to that. And I don't know, God just shows up when he shows up, usually at the 11th hour. And things started to kind of, one thing led into another. Some people joined up, and we met some other folks who have been really a godsend to us. And here I am. And the really cool thing, how it worked out, is I don't have to be at work 5 days a week like I used to. I've done that, been there, the 18-hour days and the 2-week long days, and you wake up and the sun comes up and you're at work and it's set and you're still there. I've done that for years. And these guys that were with me, you don't need to do that anymore. So what we were able to do, quite frankly, in Tampa, not only practice a real good 11 step, but really turn our will and life for the care of God. Because both of us knew deep down inside, God was not going to let us sink. It may not be on my terms. It's going to be on God's terms. And it's probably none of my business where he's going to put me. It's all of his business. But I'm going to saddle up and take the ride. And it wasn't about what I wanted anymore, because I had a moment of reflection. Every time I got what I wanted, it always blew up anyway. And I seem to be, when I'm serving God, somehow God is able to reward me. The effort to seek God never goes unrewarded. I'm not talking about financially rewarded, but soulfully rewarded. And so that's what we did. And here we are, and we have just this pretty cool place in our life. All the hours we put in, all the weekends we put in, all the breaking nights at work, it's 2 a.m. and you're still there and you're taking phone calls. We don't need to do that anymore. And I always wonder what would have happened if I would have just chased the money and only the money. I wouldn't have the freedom to travel 30 weekends a year. I wouldn't have the freedom to have a few days off during the week. My wife and I couldn't have some fun with our life. We're not kids anymore, and we still be glued to a punch card. And so I'm very grateful for that. That was a huge lesson for me, moving out of that, for what does it really look like turning my will and life over to care of God? Because that can be easily given. I can easily give that lip service. Oh, I'm just going to turn it over, but I really don't. I just go back to it. Sounds good at a meeting too. I'm just going to let go and let God, and I'm glued to the steering wheel. It requires some trust, and it requires me to have a little bit of faith in this power that has taken me so far. And we've all heard, if you're around here a while, the real way to work, not the real way, the way we actually do a step 3 is 4 through 9, where somewhere in there, self will be grinded into dust. And I'm living in a different place. I'm transcending what I couldn't transcend before. And I'm living in the world of the spirit. And we get to travel light. Self dies a little bit. And the thing that gets in the way for me, even currently, is this guy called self. selfish, self-centered, self-seeking, self-absorbed. Even when I'm trying to be kind, it's about me. Even when I'm people-pleasing, it's about me. It's about what you think of me, and I'll play every role possible to get a desired outcome out of this relationship. It has really nothing to do with you. It's not really about me being altruistic. I'm looking for a payoff. You know, you easily spot it when the sponsor gets up and takes a coin and forgets to thank the sponsor, because the sponsor's sitting there going, look what I've created. And I'm really injured. My feelings are hurt because the sponsor didn't mention my name. That's the guy that has to go. You know, when the speaker's up there and say, I want to thank Thomas and Marion and Pat and Sheldon, and they forget to mention me, my name's Jonah, going, well, this meeting stinks. I hate this. Conversely, you go to a meeting and go, oh no, I don't like this speaker. This is going to be a long hour. Oh my God, I'm so bored. And his opening lines, I want to thank you for being such an influence. You go, what a great meeting. I like it. My favorite speaker. It's all about me all the time. Yeah. I remember reading something, I'm going to do damage to it, that the man full of ego and greed always wants stuff, always demands stuff, and always goes home hungry. And the humble man or woman doesn't expect anything, doesn't want much at all, and goes home full all the time. It's not about them. They're not the center of attention. They're not in the spotlight. They're not running for mayor of Alcoholics Anonymous. If their name isn't called, it's really okay. It's really okay. That person just grateful to be upright, sober, and sucking air, and alive. And everything else is just cool. And that's what I aspire to be. I don't know if I'll ever get there. I had I should call him a great-grand sponsor. Yeah, Gary Brown out of Indiana, the most humble man in the world. This guy spoke all over the globe several times, and you would never know it unless you asked him. He sponsored, I don't know how many people. Probably a few thousand in his 50-some-odd years of sober. You wouldn't know it unless you asked him. And when he got up to the podium, he was a storyteller, and you fell in love with him in 5 minutes. He was that oh shucks guy, you know, that Jimmy Stewart, you know, cowboy guy. These are the men I look up to. My grand sponsor was the same way. You know, I don't need to be the chatterbox at an AA meeting. But I take a look at step one, and I don't know what it means. I shared about this a few weeks ago. And I get a sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I start to uncover and discover the depths of step one, what it really looks like. That I'm suffering from alcoholism while I'm sitting in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and sometimes I don't even know it. You do. You can spot it, you can hear it, you can see it. But I'm the last one to find out. I just know I keep bumping into people wherever I go. I keep running into me wherever I go. I got a lot of chatter, and I'm acting out in a lot of different ways. I got a little secret life that's going on, whether it be food, money, sex, gambling, something. I'm taking some medication that I really don't need because it gives me a little buzz, but I'm using it for other reasons. You know, I got stuff going on. Or just restless and discontented. I can't settle in. I'm vibrating all the time. I pretend to be okay. You know, I get to a meeting, the handshakes and the hugs. How you doing? I'm great. How are you? You're great. We're great. Everybody's great. We're all great. I tell you how I levitated last week. It was incredible. And when it comes time to share, you know, I quote the book and I sound profound. And you go, wow, this guy's great. But you get in my car and you follow me home. And you come in my house and you see how I sleep and how I work. And I'm not great. That doesn't mean we failed. There's no pass and fail here. We're just not okay because I'm still running my life. And it's interesting if you could envision this circle, and at the top is fear, and at 3 o'clock is like unmanageability. 6 o'clock is current agnosticism. And then at 9 o'clock is self-reliance. And they just play off of each other. In fear, unmanageability, current agnosticism, self-reliance, fear. And I'm doing this thing and it's just spinning around. I can't get off. And I insist on running my life until I hit the wall. And I learned about that during my first 6 months in Alcoholics Anonymous. Making meetings clean and sober, making a lot of meetings clean and sober, getting a little chips, you know. Going to a detox, sharing for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm completely Looney Tunes in here. I got narratives going on that I'm paying close attention to. And the thing about the narratives, I used to think I had thoughts. I don't have thoughts. They have me. They land on me, they hook me, and they don't let go. And they have so much power because they're my thoughts, so they must be true. If you presented me with the same information, I would say, Joe, that's crazy, man. Don't pay attention. It's just your mind. But when they're mine, no, this is really real. This is happening. I know it's going to happen. And I start to live with fear or live in the wreckage of the future. I'm leading with paranoia. I'm hooked up with remorse, regrets, and resentments of the past. I'm never here. In fact, if I do land here, I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. Somebody do something. You ever, the meeting gets really quiet before it starts, a lot of noise. Sometimes there's a little lull in the action. Or maybe you're having dinner with some friends, there's a lull in the action. And some people who are spiritually fit go, this is cool, it's nice and quiet. And you're going, somebody say something. Start a fight, do something. Because if not, I'm stuck listening to me again, and I don't like that voice. Untreated alcoholism is incredibly painful. And it's really frightening being a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, not spiritually fit. Grace doesn't equate to fitness, but being a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous and I'm untreated and I have nothing to pour on that. I got no going on. So what I need to do, if you were like me at the beginning, I start to reach out. Food was the thing, and I got in a lot of trouble with food. I had to go to another fellowship. I had to go through the steps in that fellowship. How to see outside help. There was a lot of things that were still unresolved in my life. Being molested as a boy was one of them. I wasn't telling anyone about that. There was a lot of that stuff going on. So what do? I throw food at it, or sex at it, or gambling at it, or money at it, or shopping at it. We just go on and on and on. I need a valve to get out. I need an escape hatch. I get some relief. And while I'm doing it, I feel like I'm in control and I got some power over my life. I'm managing stuff. I'm getting some release out of it, if you will. But that doesn't last, and it comes back tenfold, and I got to do it again. And the big book says, in doctor's opinion, I merge remorse with a firm resolution not to do it again. I do it again. I can't be here. I'm sitting in a meeting, and I got 40 other things going on, so I hear a little bit of the speaker. And not like I got to get home, the kids not feeling well, God forbid, or I have an early morning flight and I got to get packing. It's just life stuff. I'm talking about stuff that's never going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. I'm afraid of stuff that's never going to happen. I spend years in therapy talking about what's not happening anymore. It just gives me a purpose to rehash it over and over and over, even though it's been resolved. At some point, I need to release everything to a power I haven't met yet, that I can't touch and I haven't heard yet. But they're telling me just let go to this. To what? And so for me, it was you, a GOD, a group of junks for good early direction. I can see you, I can hear you, I can touch you, we shake hands. You're going to be at the next meeting. I can rely upon the group of junks for good early direction, and that's all was required was a mustard seed of willingness, yeah? That's what they talk about. I don't have to be a believer yet. I have to be from a religious organization. I just need to be willing. And I look at my days out there, I was willing to do anything to get the next one. Everyone in this room, I can safely say, has a whole bunch of willingness in us. That's why when we get really sober and we go work, we're great workers. We do good stuff because we got that thing in us. And the willingness to get loaded, jump out of a building, sure, third floor, don't worry about it, I'm going. The cops are there, they just raided, they won't bother me, I'm going in. So we come in here, and it's just I'm not willing until I hit the bottom, and I was willing to do whatever it took. And if it was a believe in a group with junction early direction, that's fine. And last week we talked about the pointer, which was step 2, the way out. It's interesting in my big book, our big book, it says, and I have this written down because I don't want to screw this up somewhere. It says, on page 58, it says, remember, we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. On page 76, it says, remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. On page 77, it's reminding ourselves. remember, remember, and remind, because I have a mind that wants to forget. So the book just nudges, hey, don't forget. Don't forget. And we look at how it works. We read it a few minutes ago. I've been to enough meetings. A lot of us have been to enough meetings. It's almost like noise in the background. Rarely have we seen a person fail, so where are we going to eat later? Those who do not recover, oh, Yankees lost, okay. What? We're not even paying attention to it. And I always wonder what a newcomer does when they hear how it works. It's nice information, but what does it apply? How does it apply to me right now? Because I'm about to go get high. I really wish I was the mayor of AA. I'd have us read the 10-step promises at every meeting. But what does it tell me and how it works about step 3? There's a ton of information here that, like many of us, I went right past until I sat down with the sponsor. And the first thing it tells us is, when it says how it works, what are we talking about? What's it? How what works? This whole process. It's about to lay out for me a set of instructions that if I follow them, I'm going to get the result talked about in the book. And that's this personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism. I am not the brightest bulb in the box. I spent 10 minutes in college, so you don't need a degree to do this. I spent 8 years in high school, best 8 years of my life. It was incredible. In high school, I was a little into sports. I was a lot into music and getting loaded. So you don't need to be the brightest bulb in the box to do this, because God's not interested in degrees. God's interested in saving the soul. And when I come to him empty-handed with nothing, I'll receive a whole lot. But if I go with one hand full of my stuff and then God just fill up this one, probably not going to pay too much attention to me. And so it says, rarely have we seen a person fail at God consciousness or sobriety who steadily follow this path. And those who do not recover, those folks who just cannot or will not, for whatever reason, they just linger. Thank God I'm not one of them. I could have been. It's 30 years have gone by and Joe and Mary are still in and out. They're just lingering. And some of us cross another line called wet brain, or just brain. We have some issues up here and they're not even making sense anymore, but they're here. They came in one day at one point. They just, for whatever reason, won't buy into this. Some of us who just can't see our own truth of what I am. I'm an alcoholic who's going to drink and die. And there's something, I just want to do this here. It says, there are such unfortunate, not a fault. They seem to have been born that way, and they're naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. That's not a suggestion. It's a life which demands rigorous honesty. And we're not talking about cash register honest. We're talking about honest about what is my truth, that I'm an alcoholic and I will drink. Step 1 tells me, Pete, you're drinking. No matter what you acquire, what you lose, at the end of the day, when the sun goes down, you are drunk, unless you have this transformation, get this soul food, if you will, and become new from within. And we're not talking about joining, becoming part of a monastery or even going back to our religious denomination. We don't have to do that. It's nice if we do. It's just that I'm willing to be moved. I'm willing to be changed. And my life is no longer any of my business. I'm signing up where I'm not playing by my rules anymore. I'm playing by God's rules, whatever that is. I don't know, but I'll do it. How many of us, I was one of them, put our money through a little hole in the door and got stuff back and put it in my body. Oh, he's a good drug dealer, though. We do stuff like this. Now they say, listen, this guy called God, who's been around before time was invented, is all love and no opposite. Can you just try him? Oh, no, that's a little drastic. I did it. If you talk to me about God, you're a holy roll. I want nothing to do with you. Until you bottom out and you say, what was that again? Life which demands rigorous honesty. We have the capacity to be honest. So, this can of soda here, if I left it here a week or 2 or 3, it'll get kind of funky. You get flat. I don't know what's crawled in there. Might even get sick if I drink what's in there. The container is just 3 weeks older. It has the capacity to be filled with something. So I take it, I go over to the sink, I flush it out because the process of recovery is removal, never addition. I flush out what's in there, empty it out, and I fill it up with a cup of coffee, a new soda, an ice, whatever I want. And I quench my thirst. So what I need to do is be emptied out of any of the soil, the plaque that's been on the soul, the emptying of out, and I'm making a decision to make that happen. I don't know how it's going to happen yet. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm so desperate for help, I'm signing up. Bring my car through the car wash. And I drive up, and the guy working there, anyone's done it, you know what I'm talking about, they kind of go like this, and they go like this, and you hear the click, and they say, let it go, put it in neutral. You put it in neutral. You let go. And the car gets on this track, and it rolls through, and you come out with a nice clean car. I did nothing. But once in a while I play with the windshield wipers just for giggles. Watch it go in there. So I show up to the third step. They said, just let go and let God, and you'll come out new. Of the capacity to be honest, the capacity to be filled with God. It's there. And as I'm writing my fourth step, I realize how I've been buried under me. I've acquired ideas, attitudes, and emotions, resentments and fears, and a screwed up view on relationships and sex, and my screwed up view on money and career and relationships with men and just life in general. It's skewed. It's not on point. My level for discernment is at the gutter level, and I'm being brought to a spiritual level of discernment, and I'm not doing anything. It's all God operating in me. If some of us who've been here a while, if we think about some of the harebrained thoughts and decisions we made when we were new, and we're sitting here now, we say, I would never do that. I was new. I was just, under it. I thought I was doing it completely off base. So when I had 1 year, I looked back at 6 months. Wow, I was nuts at 6 months. When I had 2 years, I looked back at 1 year and said, I was nuts. When I was 5 years, I looked back at 3 years, I was nuts. So I'm 37. So in a couple of years, I'm going to look back at this talk and say, don't listen to it. It's nuts. You get it? Alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. On page 62, all they talk about, they don't have anything to do with booze or even other substances, obviously. What they do talk a lot about is what I'm up against, my unmanageability, which is an internal condition. It's not out there. I don't like a lot of things that are happening where I'm sure most of us don't. Whatever the side of the aisle you're on, I don't care. But we're unhappy. There's a lot of bad stuff going on right now. That's not my unmanageability. It's what I'm doing with it. How I'm navigating. Am I a peacemaker where there's trouble, or am I a troublemaker where there's trouble? Am I offering olive branches without being servile or scraping? Am I honoring God in all that I do? Because my unmanageability now is depleting quickly, but when I become part of the problem, that's the unmanageability. My point of view, my perceptions and conceptions is my unmanageability. I acquire resentment for no other reason than I'm used to it. Sitting on a couch and everything's really cool, and suddenly my mind presents a problem, and I listen to it and I have a problem. Rather than say, well, that's nuts, that's my mind, that's not coming from soul. So the part of me that creates the problem is not where I'm going to go to solve the problem. But I'm so used to relying upon me. I've almost been programmed to rely upon me. Go down, I have a legal problem. I have a marital problem. I go down to the bar and talk to Joe, the bartender, who's been married and divorced 4 times to figure out how to fix my marriage. Because he's Joe, the bartender. But to go to a counselor, a therapist, a priest, or a rabbi, well, that's silly. I've been programmed to do this. Figure it out. You're a man. Grow up. Do it. The book is saying, no, don't do any of that anymore. It doesn't work. You run into a wall. Everything in our book is counterintuitive. There's no booze mentioned here. It's all about me running my life. I step on the toes of my fellows and they retaliate, which means I do something or say something about you or to you. You push back, and I go, what did I do? The Alcoholics Mantra, what did I do? Well, let's take a look at the record. And it's interesting because by the time I get to page 63, it's less and less about me and more about helping other people. And I get to this third step, which is really not the third step prayer. Our third step prayer, my experience with this, is the third step prayer is an affirmation of willing to live along certain spiritual lines. And it even tells me the third step, the wording was, of course, quite optional, which means if I never saw this prayer, and I sat with a person of the cloth, or someone a mentor, or anyone for that matter, or alone in church, or in my living room on bended knees, and I said something like, God, I can't run my life anymore. Can you please take over? I stand here ready for you to run my life. That's just as powerful as doing this third step prayer. It's the intent at which I pray, because I don't have the power to command the Spirit, but I can get in a position to be moved by the Spirit, to be changed by God, which is what this is about. It's getting me in the batter's box, finally. I've been talking a good game for a while. Now I have to get in the batter's box. I don't know if I'm going to get a hit or strike out, but I'm in. And so it tells me this is the how and why of it. First, we had to quit playing God. What I have to examine, because I've gone through the steps, thank you, God, a bunch of times, is what areas of my life am I playing God? What areas of my life am I in denial about playing God? Or just in denial, period? Where am I playing God? Could walk into my home group and they rearrange the room. Well, they didn't send me the memo. How dare they? Walk into work and they're doing something new. Well, they didn't tell me. You're not the boss. Or just something. Playing God. Most of it's inward. You know, the thinking that goes on, taking inventory, scanning. Just scanning the room. They didn't do this. They didn't that. That's wrong. This is that whole thing. How you doing? I'm great. I'm playing God in a lot of areas. I think the world should look this way and not that way. In fact, when I pray, I tell God what he's supposed to do today. God, make sure you do all these things today so I can have a great day. We do it innocently, but we're actually playing God. There's been plenty of times I'm on bending knees. God, I don't know, but I'm here. I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do, and I'll say what you want me to say. Other than that, I don't know. I have a friend who's sick. I'm praying for his good health, but you may need to call him home for a greater purpose. I don't know. I'm still going to pray for him, but I understand your will, not mine, be done. I don't know. That kills the ego, and it doesn't like it. We decided hereafter in this drama of life, God's going to be my director. He's the boss. My brother's an actor. My brother told me even the best actors will submit to a director. They're the boss. They have a vision, and you're the actor. I need you to make this vision come to life. So you're going to play this role. You're going to play this role. She's going to play that role. God's role. When I practice fidelity to God, I experience God's fidelity in my life. But I got to practice fidelity to God. I can't put anything before God. I can't wait for God when it's convenient. I need to be ready. The boots on the ground, if you will. He's the principal, we're his agents. That's a brokerage term. The principal's the boss, and the agent works for the principal. Athletes have an agent. We're about to go represent God. Our book is telling this, not me. That's a huge order. Wherever I go, I'm an agent for God. I'm representing the principal, which is God. How am I doing with that? In the parking lot, in Publix, on 95? Well, I will tell you, without an awakened spirit, I fell miserably. I'm going to fail. I know that. My track record proves F on the report card. But with spirit, all things are possible. See, lack of power is my dilemma. With power, no dilemma. He's the father, we're his children. Most parents give their kids everything they need, not what they want. And God's going to give me what I need. If I got everything I wanted, you probably have a different speaker tonight. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch to which I passed to freedom. Finally, when we sincerely took this position, all sorts of remarkable things follow. This is pretty cool. We had a new boss. Being all powerful, he provides me what I need if I keep close to him and perform his work well. I don't have to get close to be close. I always thought there was some proximity between me and God. And then one day was the aha moment that he's closer than my own breath. It's an awakening of, oh my God, he's that close. I don't plug into a 9-volt battery at night to wake up in the morning. I plug my phone in. But God just wakes me up. I don't have to get close to be close. It's just have to get rid of the things that are blocking me. And one day I wake up and go, oh my God, it's God. And we could be washing our car, playing with our children, on our way to work. It could be anything. And suddenly you go, oh my God, it's God. There's something that changes. We're very aware of presence. It's another dimension. And you try to make it happen again and you can't. You got to, because I'm an alcoholic, I need to do it again, make sure. And then it just kind of wanes. What I've learned, it's always there though. Like I had a sponsor once told me, God is always talking to you. If we stop long enough, we'll hear it. I'm just so involved with me and busy with, running around. I get so immersed in life that I miss life. I get so immersed in listening to this voice, I can't hear God's. The pause. Just take a beat. Okay, God, where are we going? What do I wear? What meeting do I go to? What should I have for dinner? It sounds ridiculous, but it really isn't. I think I have to turn to God when I'm about to part the seas like Moses. No. It's like, what jacket should I wear tonight? What meeting? I'm not sure which meeting. God, which meeting should I go to tonight? Go to that meeting. There's a newcomer. Okay, I'll go. I want to go to that one because the girls are pretty, but I'm going to go to that one because there's a bunch of, okay, good, got it. I'm going. Established on this footing, I became less and less interested in me. And my book is really like my plans, Pete, he said they're little plans. I think they're great. No, they're little plans and designs. More and more, I became interested in what I can contribute to life. As I felt new power flow in, thank God, because the previous chapter told me I'm out of power, which is a good thing. The tank is empty, which means I can fill it up. I could face life successfully. I enjoyed peace of mind. This is really interesting. It's always struck me when the book says peace of mind, because so often we talk about the mind is where the problem is. The reason why I'm starting or will begin to have peace of mind, because I'm not operating out of the mind. Little by slowly, I'm starting to operate out of the soul. And it kind of like, if you can envision it, it kind of trickles up to you and go help the newcomer. Great thought. I'm not plagued with what's going to happen then, and I'm not regretful or remorseful about what happened in the past. I'm very present. That's peace of mind. I'm not torn. I'm not pulled. I'm in God's light. What a great place to be. I would love to report to you I live there 7 days a week. I don't. It's not because God isn't there. It's just I look elsewhere. I trip over my own feet. I trip over the self. The self hooks me. I start thinking and I get away and I get away and I get away. That's why nightly review is so important. Now, I have just a couple of minutes, so it says this. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. These are incredibly powerful words. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life may do thy will always. There's no amen. My sponsor had me write out that prayer word for word. And he said, I'd like you to write it out in your language, your interpretation. What do you think, Peter, the prayer is saying? What does God, I offer myself to thee mean? And I wrote it out in my own language. So when I said it with my sponsor, it was kind of my prayer. My wife and I have talked about this. Relieve me of the bondage of self. This self guy, the one that we're seeing and hearing through and operating is dragging us around. I'm in bondage to this. And we're asking God to kind of cut bait with that. Unhook us from this self thing. And the difficulties I'm walking around with. The difficulties are all me. It's my self. I'm not talking about, God forbid, those of us who are afflicted with health concerns. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the stuff up in the head. Fear for no reason. It's creating problems. I keep meeting the same people. Always in a bad relationship. So I got to discount them. God, please just free me of that. Even if it means celibacy. 40 newcomers just walked out when I said that. even if it means I'm willing, just unhook me from all of that. And so we finished. I remember going to my sponsor's house, and we got on our knees, held hands. I was a nervous wreck. You know, I practiced the prayer, rehearsed it to be a good sponsor. And when it came time to do it, I stumbled along. And he read it with me to help me out. And when we got done with the third step prayer, there was no amen, because I'm going into a body of work. We got up off our knees, we sat down at the table, notepad and pen, and it says something really, really important, vital, after the third step, next. Now, there's a part of that book that says, we thought well before taking this step. My grant sponsor would do the third step. Before he did the third step, he'd send us home. He says, I want you to think, do you really want to do this? Are you really ready to have God run your life, or are you giving it lip service? We did that a few times. But it says next, which means now. We launched out in the course of vigorous action. That's step 4. Otherwise, that third step becomes a very nice prayer that I said. Sounds lovely, but I go back to being me again. And so my experience has been, I do none of this perfect, trust me. But my effort, if you will, to seek what God has for me, I do throughout the day, not only on awakening. And I still screw it up. I still trip over my own feet. I still get my own way. You know, I've gotten to a point in my life, both of us have, where I'm really a lot less concerned about someone's opinion of me. There was a point in my life where it owned me. Listen, if I'm not your cup of tea, that's cool, man. I'm okay. But every once in a while, I'll get hooked with that. I'm not a rich man. I don't have a ton of money. And every once in a while, that'll hook me. But for the most part, I'm self-supporting through my own contributions. My wife and I travel the globe. We're members of Alcoholics Anonymous. We have 2 adoring families. We're both healthy. Whoa, that's pretty good.
Very good.
That's pretty cool. We have a church we belong to. We're members of Alcoholics Anonymous. Every once in a while, the mind says, yeah, but you should have this much money by now. That kind of stuff. So I chop wood and carry water, and I'm grateful for having the accountability I do with the sponsor and some of the men along the way. Last thing, I was away this weekend with Marion, and I spent some time with a buddy of mine who was sponsored by my grand sponsor. And the thing about Fellowship of the Spirits, they're all over the place, is my old sponsor and my grand sponsor, my great-grand sponsor, started Fellowship of Spirit in Colorado. And when I'm there, I'm able to touch that, because they've all moved on to the big meeting in the sky. And it was, for me, just some real good home cooking. And I was really excited just to be a part of that. So I've been well overpaid in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I keep coming back. That's all I got.
All right.